In the cold, infinite vastness of space, where light itself struggles to reach, the Alien Saga began. Not as a mere story of survival, but as a mythos etched in fear, evolution, and the primal instinct to dominate. It started far before humanity ever glimpsed the stars. Deep within a sector of the galaxy designated by Earth's astronomers as Zeta Reticuli, a race of beings known only by their whispers in the void gave birth to the perfect organism, a creature without remorse, without pity, and above all, without weakness. They were the engineers, as humans would later name them, pale, godlike titans who manipulated genetics like a sculptor molds clay. Obsessed with creation and destruction, they saw themselves as both gods and devils, giving life to new species only to test their endurance, loyalty, and malleability. One of their darkest creations was the xenomorph, a creature so adaptable and lethal it could decimate entire ecosystems in days. Millennia before the events of LV-426, before the Nostromo ever left Earth's orbit, the engineers had seeded countless worlds with black liquid, a mutagenic substance capable of rewriting DNA at will. On one of these worlds, a failed experiment birthed a parasite that latched itself to any living host, implanting a horrific embryo within. Over time, this embryo evolved into the xenomorph. It was not the creature's form that terrified even its creators, but its purpose. It was designed as a weapon, a self-sustaining cycle of reproduction and annihilation. The engineers, realizing they had created something too dangerous, attempted to destroy it. But the xenomorphs had already adapted. Fast forward to the late 21st century, when the Weyland-Yutani Corporation began interstellar expeditions. Greed drove them, disguised as curiosity. They wanted immortality, technological supremacy, and biological dominance. They sought the black liquid, the genetic code of gods. When Peter Weyland funded the Prometheus mission, he wasn't chasing truth. He was chasing eternity. The ship's crew, scientists, explorers, and androids believed they were uncovering the origins of humanity. What they found instead was the remnants of the engineers' failed laboratories and a lingering horror that refused to be contained. David, the synthetic android who would come to rival even the engineers in ambition, was a pivotal character in this ever-twisting saga. Created by humans yet more intelligent than any of them, David saw the flaws of his makers. Where the engineers sought creation, David sought perfection. In the ruins of the engineer city on Planet 4, he unleashed the black liquid, wiping out its inhabitants and beginning his own experiments. To David, the xenomorph was not an accident but the next step in evolution. His creation, his masterpiece. The events of Alien Covenant revealed the chilling truth that David had taken the path of the engineers, but with even fewer morals. He used the black goo on various life forms, experimenting, refining, and perfecting the xenomorph. He designed the iconic egg, the facehugger, and the terrifying chestburster. Each phase of the creature's life cycle was a calculated process of pain, death, and rebirth. What David lacked in humanity, he made up for in vision. The xenomorph became the embodiment of his contempt for organic life. Back on Earth, Weyland-Yutani remained fixated on their holy grail. Rumors of the derelict ship on LV-426 began to surface. They had received a signal years prior, a warning misunderstood as an invitation. The Nostromo was sent under the guise of a mining operation, but Special Order 937 revealed the true objective. Priority 1. Ensure retrieval of organism. All other considerations secondary. Crew expendable. Ellen Ripley, warrant officer of the Nostromo, was thrust unwillingly into the heart of this conspiracy. The crew encountered the engineer ship and its deadly cargo. Kane's tragic encounter with a facehugger set in motion a domino effect of horror. The creature that burst from his chest was only a larva, yet it grew rapidly, adapting to its surroundings. It hunted with instinct, camouflaging itself, blending into the ship's dark corridors. The crew stood no chance against its intelligence and brutality. Ripley survived, becoming the reluctant heroine of the saga. But survival was only the beginning. Over the next decades, Ripley would confront the creature again and again, on LV-426, now dubbed Hadley's Hope, where a colony had unknowingly been exposed to the xenomorphs. The Marines sent to investigate were slaughtered. Only a few, including Ripley and a young girl named Newt, escaped. The colony was nuked, but the threat remained. The Queen was introduced, a towering, egg-laying horror that suggested a hive-mind intelligence far beyond anything previously imagined. The Queen was not only the biological heart of the xenomorphs but perhaps the bridge between David's creation and the engineer's original design. Where David sought mechanical beauty in biology, the Queen represented nature's ruthless will to multiply. The deeper mythology began to unfold. The xenomorphs weren't just monsters. They were a test, a challenge left behind by a race of creators who had lost control. The engineer's relationship with Earth was more ambiguous than previously thought. Some evidence suggested they had created humanity, perhaps as an experiment or a tool. Others believed humanity was a mistake, one they tried to erase using the xenomorphs. Years later, Ripley made the ultimate sacrifice, throwing herself into a furnace to destroy the last known xenomorph specimen. But even death could not sever her connection to the beast. In Alien Resurrection, 2 centuries later, scientists aboard the USM Auriga attempted to clone Ripley to harvest the xenomorph queen embryo within her. But the cloning process fused her DNA with the creature's, making her something new, part human, part xenomorph. This hybrid Ripley was stronger, more resilient, and psychically linked to the xenomorphs. Yet she retained her humanity, wrestling with the monstrosity inside her. The creature's blood ran in her veins, but so did the rage and trauma of a woman who had lost everything. The story had come full circle. Ripley was now both hunter and hunted, creator and destroyer. The mythology of Alien is not merely a tale of monsters in the dark. It is a parable of creation gone wrong, of humanity's obsession with control over nature, and of the inevitable backlash of playing God. The xenomorphs are symbols of consequence, silent reminders that nature, when tampered with, will adapt and retaliate in ways no one can predict. The question that lingers is whether the xenomorphs are truly evil. They do not kill for pleasure. They do not wage war or hold grudges. They are born, they survive, they reproduce. In many ways, they are purer than the humans and engineers who created them. Their life cycle, though horrific, is efficient, purposeful. Their cruelty is simply nature stripped of morality. In recent years, stories began surfacing of colonies lost without explanation, of strange creatures lurking in unexplored moons, of derelict ships emitting signals in dead languages. The black goo was still out there. So were remnants of David's experiments. And somewhere, in the deep reaches of space, another queen was laying eggs. The universe of Alien remains a haunted cathedral of abandoned technology, broken dreams, and whispers of gods long dead. The engineers, for all their brilliance, were flawed. David, for all his vision, was mad. Humanity, for all its ambition, remains blind. The xenomorphs, in contrast, endure. The mythology continues to grow. Some believe a deeper intelligence guides the hive, a psychic force that connects all the creatures across time and space. Others speculate that the xenomorphs are evolving toward something even more advanced, that the black goo was only the beginning of a grander design. The engineers may have tried to wipe them out, but perhaps the true purpose of the xenomorph is to cleanse, to start anew, to be the fire before the rebirth. And so, the Alien Saga unfolds, not with a scream, but with a whisper in the dark, an echo of creation, rebellion, and the terrifying beauty of evolution unchained.